what, Fayette County? It's our time to stand up and take back our county and our country. The establishment elite, the career politicians, the swamp creatures in both parties, they have spent decades selling us out, making deals that benefit themselves and their donors, while the hardworking people of Fayette County and across America get left behind. They tell us to sit down, shut up, let them run things. They tell us, trust the system, but the system ain't working for us. It's working against us. Well, I've got news for them. We're not backing down. We're just getting started. We are the steel workers, the coal miners, the farmers, the small business owners, the first responders, and the families who built this nation with our bare hands. We work, we build, we sacrifice, and we don't need government bureaucrats telling us how to live our lives. They want more taxes. They want more regulations. They want more control. But we say no more. They want us divided, black against white, rich against poor, rural against urban. But we see through their lies. This movement, the MAGA movement, is all about us coming together as Americans. We believe in freedom over control. We believe in fair elections over corruption. We believe in jobs over handouts. We believe in family, faith, and country. And let me tell you, I ain't here to play politics. I'm here to fight for you. That's why I'm running for re-election as your recorder of deeds. Not to be another politician, but to be a watchdog against corruption, to protect your property rights, and to make sure the government is transparent and accountable. And I promise you this, after I win the recorder of deeds, I'm not stopping there. These establishment politicians have been bleeding you dry, raising taxes, playing political games with your money for far too long. I'm going to put an end to that. They'll try to smear us, silence us, call us every name in the book, but they will never break our spirit. We are MAGA strong, America first, and unstoppable. So Fayette County, are you ready to take back your government? Are you ready to send a message to the swamp that we the people are in charge? Are you ready to stand up, fight back, and win? Then let's get to work. Tell your neighbors, because the Hillbilly MAGA train is leaving the station and we're taking our country and our county back. Full speed ahead. God bless Fayette County. God bless Pennsylvania. And God bless the United States of America. And God bless President Donald J. Trump. I am Jon Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly.
Opinions expressed on this program are those of Jon Marietta and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Fayette County Recorder of Deeds Office or Fayette County government. This program is privately produced and funded, and no county resources are used for its production or promotion.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was trucking up the highway, minding my own lane, with some dude in a Prius went and flipped me off. Guess my redneck hit him wrong. Seems like everyone these days is a ticking time bomb full of hate for folks like me who don't agree and ain't ever gonna change. And it gets me thinking, leave this long-haired country boy alone. And I start singing along to that line in the song.
Hey everybody, Jon Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly. Today's show is being brought to you by Miles' Garage and Tire Center, PatriotsOnline.com, Fayette County Recovery Storage and U-Haul, JB Market in Dunbar, Thundering Hills Feed and Supply, The Ink Spot, Fayette County Mega Patriots Group, Solid Foundation Ministry, New Life Free Methodist Church, Highline Motorsports, Gun Owners of America, Hillbilly Jon Radio, Jon Marietta for We the People, Hillbilly's Grub and Pub, and Premier Auto and Glass. That's 724-557-9288. Hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. It was a very busy time for me, and I was down in Connellsville and got to talk to I don't know how many people, hundreds of people. And I want to thank all the good response I had down there. I want to tell the Crawford vending show was going on down there for the Connellsville Historical Society, and it was a wonderful time. So let's get started. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. That's Psalms 34:18. Folks, I'll tell you what. My heart's been heavy since this happened. We've seen yet another tragedy, this time in Minnesota, where a school shooting took place at a Catholic church school. It's gut-wrenching. Innocent lives torn apart, families broken, and communities left wondering if it's ever going to stop. Now, here's the thing. Every time one of these tragedies happens, the politicians rush to the microphones. They wag their fingers, they point at the Constitution, and they say, the problem is your guns. But let me tell you, guns didn't cause this evil. Despair. And yes, sometimes broken systems in our mental health world. These are the real roots. And blaming the Second Amendment is just lazy politics. That's why I'm glad to have with us today someone who doesn't just talk. He digs into the facts. Josh Prince, Chief Counsel of the Firearms Industry Consulting Group, now back in 2019, Josh testified before the Pennsylvania Senate Judiciary Committee, not just on gun rights, but on something most of the talking heads don't want to touch, mental and behavioral health, and the role that psychiatric and SSRI drugs might play in fueling some of these tragedies. He didn't come empty-handed. He's coming with research, with exhibits, with the hard truths. And if you've never read Dr. Peter Bregin's declaration from 2001 that Josh highlighted, you ought to, because it'll make you think twice about the quick fix pills being rushed on our children and adults alike. Today, Josh and I are going to cut through the noise. We're going to talk about the real cause that can be done without shredding your constitutional rights, and how to protect both lives and liberty. Because I'll tell you what, folks, freedom and safety aren't enemies. They rise or fall together. And if we don't get this right, if we let fear and politics drive the debate, we're going to lose both of them. I got a lot of things going on right now with the election that's coming up. We're getting close to 60 days. I want to let everybody know that I'm going to be out and about as much as I can. But let's get right to it with Josh. Josh, you with me?
I am, John. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It really is. I wish he was a little closer to me. But
that's kind of you to say, and I also wish I were closer. There's so many great things in Fayette County. Been there a number of times when I've been on the campaign trail, and look forward to getting back.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to get you over here for something in the near future. But we'll see how this all works out. But I appreciate everything you've done being on the radio and everything you're doing to help promote our constitutional rights and standing up for things. But I really want to dive into this about a lot of things, and I'm just going to let you take the lead and go for it here. Is that okay?
Sounds good. I'll try my best.
Okay. I know you testified and I think that's maybe where we need to start, somewhere like that, or maybe your thoughts on the school shooting to start out with, and then we'll go to there.
Sure. Obviously, the school shooting was a horrific act committed by an individual that clearly had significant mental health issues. And unfortunately, in our current day society, and most recently, we stigmatize those who have mental health issues and cause them not to seek out the help that they truly need. And I actually had, most recently testified about this issue back in 2019 before the Senate Judiciary Committee, as you had mentioned, where I was asked to talk about a number of different proposed laws to limit or restrict Second Amendment rights. And I decided to take some time to really discuss the issues at the heart of the matter, and that is these SSRI drugs. And so for the listeners that don't know, that stands for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and they're really quite frequently prescribed, especially to juveniles, without any consideration. And that's really what my testimony goes over. But for those who don't know what SSRI drugs constitute, ones would include things like Paxil, Zoloft, Prozac, Lexapro, Celexa. There's a whole host of different SSRI drugs, and you can just Google SSRI drugs and come up with a very long list. The issue with these is that although there is a good amount of testing in relation to the adult brain, where even there they have to disclose on the prescriptions that it can cause homicidal and suicidal ideations, meaning desires to kill other people or oneself, including acting upon those desires. They never really study the effects on the juvenile brain. Although the medical pharmaceutical companies have released a couple very small ones, those themselves are extremely damning. And they show a substantial increase in violent tendencies when being taken by someone who is still a juvenile. The issue is the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has allowed the pharmaceutical industry to control what studies they've released to the FDA. We know there are a substantial amount of additional studies that the different pharmaceutical companies have elected not to release, most likely due to their damning effect. And back in 2001, there was a Dr. Breggin, as you had mentioned, who actually was thankfully able to find some of the information about these different studies and basically said that the inadequacy of safety warnings given to physicians on the drug, in that one instance, Paxil, caused an individual to commit destructive acts. And he was actually brought in a lawsuit where they were actually able to get some of these studies. And it is just astonishing what his report reflects 25 years ago. I can only imagine what exists today.
Well,
yet
one of the questions,
no one wants to do anything.
Yeah, that's true. But one of the questions, most of these drugs were not approved by the FDA for this type of usage. Did I have that right?
That is correct. So most doctors prescribe these for what's called off-label uses, meaning it is not an approved FDA use, yet they still allow them to prescribe them for those other uses. And that is a huge concern, especially when you read something like Dr. Breggin's report on Paxil and the effect on the juvenile brain. So it's really imperative that our legislature act on this, whether it's Congress at the federal level, whether it's the Pennsylvania Senate or House of Representatives, and hold hearings, subpoena this information, the studies that these companies have, and force them to come to a public hearing to testify about the effects of these SSRI drugs on the juvenile brain. They're willing to take our money for these drugs. Doctors are now giving them out almost like they're Pez, which is extremely disconcerting. And in my testimony, I had found that as of 2014, there was a study that showed an increase of 33% in those 15 years from 1999 to 2014 in the prescribing of these drugs to juveniles. There are some suggestions out there that since 1999 to the present day, it may be upwards of 200% increase in doctors prescribing these SSRI drugs to those under 18. There is also some reports in Dr. Breggin's report that suggest that the juvenile brain is actually still developing through age 24, and that these SSRI drugs may have effects on those different than what I'll call the adult brain, being post 24 years of age. Now, why is the pharmaceutical company hiding this from us? I was so happy, I should say, to hear on Friday morning, RFK Jr. was on Fox News and stated that he is now looking into the effects of these SSRI drugs in relation to the Massachusetts shooting.
But you testified in 2019, and yet the House of Representatives and our senators haven't looked into this at all, or very little to pursue this. Do I have that correct?
To my knowledge, no action was taken after that hearing. So whether something's being done outside of that I am unaware of, I can't say. But I do keep my finger on the pulse relative to these types of issues, and I've heard of no action whatsoever other than new restrictions on our Second Amendment rights being proposed by those who oppose them.
Well, that happens every time one of these things happen, and believe me, I am an advocate of the Second Amendment without no doubt about it. It says what it says, and I think that's the only law we need. All the rest of these laws are just, I don't know, political fluff. That's what I'll call them. It's not necessary. But I really think our founding fathers understood that. The Second Amendment was put there to protect us from the government, and make sure the government feared the people instead of the other way around. I guess.
Well, I know you have a copy of my testimony from 2019. If you want to make it available to your listeners, obviously,
I will.
By all means, please do.
We will.
Also, they can find it if they go to our blog site, blog.princelaw.com. Again, that's blog.princelaw.com. And if you just type in the search SSRI, it'll be the first article you'll come to, and in that, both my testimony and exhibits, including testimony from Dr. Simone, who talked about the effect of the breakdown of the family unit on these different types of mass shootings. But getting back to the SSRI drugs, one point I didn't make that I think is important for your listeners to know is that as of right now, based on all the evidence out there, every single one of the school shooters has been on one or another SSRI drug.
Do we find that out? Is that the case in Minnesota already? Do we find that?
I haven't heard about the individual in Minnesota. I know they were mentioning HIPAA issues, but even given that, what's interesting is with all the other school shooters, it's always eventually come out that they were on one or another drug, either through their family or other means through the investigation or that. So it will truly be interesting to see with Minnesota. I think it's in Massachusetts earlier, my apologies, what comes of that and whether RFK Jr. Will mandate, especially if it's shown that an SSRI drug was involved in that situation, that it be disclosed to the public, because we should all be able to make an informed decision about those things going into our bodies. It's no different than the COVID vaccines that were being forced on people. They are forcing these types of medications on our children at an alarming rate. Every child almost is now diagnosed as having ADD, ADHD, some other anxiety disorder, and they're prescribing these different SSRI drugs to them. The one common denominator in all these situations is the SSRI drugs, as well as the breakdown in the family unit too frequently.
The doctor's name, if you want to go and you want to look up the research that you can, and I know Josh did a lot of his research through this doctor. His name is Dr. Peter Briggins, and I want to spell his name. It's Breggins. I might be saying it not correctly, but it's Dr. Peter Briggins. Breggins, and you can get a lot of information off of. He has a website you can go to. I don't have the link right now, but it might be up before the end of the day. So okay, where does this lead us to? We know that the House of Representatives at the state level and and our senators are following through with this. mostly probably because, I mean, we can come to whatever conclusion we want to, but it's probably has something to do with Big Pharma, I would imagine. There's probably a lot of money floating around. But where do we want to go to next with this? I mean, what's our next situation, Josh?
Well, I am truly hopeful that RFK Jr. will look into this more and will, get the truth of the matter disclosed to the public, because, as I said before, everyone should be able to make an informed decision about whether or not to take a particular drug, including what the harmful effects of taking it could be. Also, knowing those harmful effects would allow for family members and others around that person, if they know they're taking that drug, to be a secondary check, to know, okay, violent tendencies are a potential harm from taking this drug. Am I seeing my child act out more violently than they were before taking this drug? And if so, that may be the reason to immediately take them back to the doctor and say, look, I am seeing these violent tendencies since we started them on whatever drug, and we need to change.
Well,
there were a number of people in the shooter's life in Minnesota who said they knew there were issues there, but no one took any action. Some may not have been able to take any action. One has to wonder, why any family members didn't take any action. Did they know what was occurring? If not, okay. If they did, this individual was an adult, so there was limited things they may be able to do, but still, there is nothing that would preclude someone from calling into another person's medical provider, assuming they know who that is, and saying, look, I understand you can't disclose anything to me, but I know person X, who's, I understand, a patient of yours, who I understand is on drugs, whatever, and is acting irrationally, is acting violent, whatever, and provide them with the data point and let that medical practitioner then decide whether to reach out to their patient. At least you tried to do something. So I am, as I said, very hopeful, given RFK's statements, that we will at some point in the future, hopefully not too distant of the future, know more about these SSRI drugs and the effect on the juvenile brain. And I think every one of your listeners should be calling their state representatives, whether House member or Senate member, as well as RFK, and saying we need to get more research done into the effects of these SSRI drugs on the juvenile brain.
Okay, so really heightening, which I understand. We have to make sure our kids are safe. We have to do whatever we have to do.
Exactly.
Do you have any thoughts on that right at the present?
Well, I think there's a number of things we can do to make our children safer. First and foremost is, as adults, as parents, be more involved in our children's lives. Spend time at the dinner table talking with them about what's going on. Get to know your child better. Attend events when possible. Go out to play outside with them. Do things together as a family unit. I think that's one of the most important steps, especially when being around them with more frequency, you may be able to pick up on or identify things that others wouldn't. I think another important thing is security at our schools. We've seen that Israel has done it with great success. We have a lot of veterans, former law enforcement, other individuals of a similar ilk that would likely be perfect for that type of situation. And no, we don't want to turn our schools into prisons, but at the same time, we do need to protect our children. And that's a reasonable step to take, because in most instances where there is a school shooter, what we see is, as soon as, if not before, they are confronted by anyone that could stop them, they will take their own life. We saw that in Minnesota. Shooter didn't wait for law enforcement to arrive.
Well,
Just committed suicide after the shooting.
one of the things, if I understand correctly, and I'm sure this could happen in the United States also, that in Israel, it's a twofold thing. I mean, they do have veterans that and retired law enforcement that come to the schools and work in the schools, but a lot of that is volunteer effort, from what I understand. And there's a twofold thing there, because when they're always they're always at a situation in Israel where they have to protect everybody, something that we don't have to do in the United States. And maybe we just haven't been good enough about watching out for each other in these ways. And maybe that's something we have to think about. Like you say, if you see something, it probably doesn't hurt to report it. Somebody that's having a gun in the wrong part of town, or doing these things, maybe we ought to think about that instead of just letting it go by. And it isn't I look at a gun, and you might agree with me, you might not. I look at guns as a tool, and that it's a tool to protect you in times of emergency. It's also, if you want to get, it's also a way to provide for your family through hunting and them kind of things. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I absolutely agree. It is just a tool. It's that old adage that people kind of, chuckle at, but it's true. We don't ban spoons, forks, and knives because people become obese. We can't blame the tool because of the actions of the actor. Here we have people who have serious mental health issues, and we need to be able to treat it. And this individual, I understand, although I was not one who got to see the manifesto before it was taken down, I understand the individual was acutely aware that this was going to cause harm to family members, was likely not the right action, but felt like he had no other ability to take any action. That is another aspect that I spoke about in my testimony to the Senate Judiciary Committee, in that we do not have enough protections under Pennsylvania law for someone who wants to seek out emergency care or even just non-emergency care related to a mental health issue. All that information should be confidential. They should feel completely protected that if they go to a mental health provider to seek out help, that at no point in time in the future will their desire to get that help result in the loss of rights to them. So we got to stop the stigmatization of these different mental health conditions and of individuals who seek out help. That is what we should all be supporting and cheering for. Someone who knows that they have a problem, we should support and cheer them on in getting that professional help that they even recognize that they need. And I really think there is a phenomenal opportunity for an entrepreneur to start a pro-rights organization. I actually talk about it in my testimony and suggest that the Pennsylvania General Assembly should really consider trying to support such an organization that would come together with all forms of doctors, medical professionals under one roof who are all very pro-rights and will protect the rights of their patients at all costs. That a portion of proceeds that come into that organization would be set aside just simply for the organization to utilize for their attorneys to defend the rights of their patients. And I think if you started an organization like that would go to the mat for all of their patients in relation to their confidential records, that you would see such a dramatic change in people's willingness to go to an organization like that to get treatment beyond just simply mental health treatment.
This all comes back, and in my mind, I don't know why, but in my mind, I'm thinking about the opioid epidemic in that occurred in eastern Kentucky and parts of Tennessee, and with these coal miners that was getting hurt. They said, don't worry about it. We got a pill that'll take care of that, and you can keep working. Well, this is what I'm thinking about right now. It is the same situation. They with the medication, but these doctors didn't. Maybe they did realize it. Maybe they didn't. That the side effects for these drugs were.
I completely agree,
yeah,
and that's why I've been stating
they couldn't figure. They didn't know what they were gonna. They didn't know what they were doing. I mean, it's just like you said. I mean, if you eat enough ice cream, you end up. But that's what I'm thinking about right now. I'm thinking like we need to get to the point where somebody needs to be accountable for these drugs, and it's probably the pharmaceutical industry. Big pharma is a big problem right now because of the lobbyists. And the money that they pump into all these different ways to keep things flowing. So I don't even know where I'm right now. I'm almost I just don't even know what to say because it is a big problem. It's a terrible problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And one of the issues we haven't really touched on that maybe some of your listeners are wondering about is, with the FDA having to approve drugs, how is it that the FDA is allowing this to occur? The simple answer from an administrative law point is that there is a theory in administrative law called administrative capture, where basically the administrative agency is so close with the industry that it regulates that it gets taken over by that industry. And some of the information I have in my testimony, as well as Dr. Bregan talks about, is that there are far too many individuals who work at the FDA who approve these drugs and later on get massive offers for employment at these pharmaceutical industries. And they take them up on those offers. Now you have a person who not only has maybe been helpful to that particular pharmaceutical company in the past, but has relations with other employees within that agency. And can say, oh, hey, Peter, now I'm with whatever pharmaceutical company. We're going to be submitting a new trial in. Really appreciate any assistance you can give us. And, oh, yeah, by the way, do you know that they actually gave me an opening salary of X? Look forward to working with you.
Yeah, and X was probably 3 times what they made is a congressman or a senator or however you want to look at it.
Exactly. So there should be federally, as there are in other contexts, prohibitions on anyone being an employee of the FDA and thereafter in short propriety, maybe for 5 years, joining with any pharmaceutical company.
I think President Trump actually wanted to do something like that with lobbyists, making congressmen. They weren't allowed to be lobbyists for at least 5 years after they left office. I think congressmen and senators or any public official, and you think about it, it would probably be a good thing because by that time your contact base would probably be watered down enough that you wouldn't be effective as a lobbyist no more.
Correct, and there are similar provisions in the defense industry that prohibit certain individuals in the military from thereafter, within short order, joining with a defense industry contractor. Some may remember there were questions asked of Pete Hegseth when he was a nominee as to whether he would agree to those provisions because they would not apply directly given the position he was being nominated for. So these types of restrictions already exist and are supported by the current law.
Well, you think about it, and this might be off on another track, but you think about it when any of the people that were nominated to be Supreme Court justices, what they went through to end up being to get to the vote part. You think that there's kind of a lopsided way we're doing things here now. I mean, you have with these lobbyists, with Congress, with senators, and I keep coming back to it. Our state house and our state senators are prone to all these things also.
And you're absolutely right. And there should be, in certain circumstances, restrictions placed on those who have workings with particular industries, including lobbyists.
So, if you, I'm going to let you go here again, but do you have anything else you want to conclude with, or anything else you want to try to touch base on here in the next 5 minutes or so?
Well, the one thing on a positive note, wanted to make sure all your listeners knew, although I recognize it's a little bit of a travel, is that Bill Bockenberg, who's the new president of the NRA and really shaking stuff up, really making so many positive changes within the NRA, is going to be at the Berks County Patriots meeting on September 18th. And he is really looking forward to hearing from people, hearing any thoughts, concerns, whatever's on their mind, because he wants to be very different than the past presidents of NRA. He wants to be out there hearing directly from the people as to what your concerns or issues are. So I really hope if any of your listeners can make it, that they attend the Berks County Patriots meeting on September 18th, because I can guarantee you it's going to be a phenomenal time.
Do you have a location or a little bit of a flyer or something?
I posted the flyer out on my page earlier today, so you should be able to get it, but give me 1 second here. I think I can somewhat quickly pull up. It's at the Temple Fire Company Ballroom, and that's 4963, again, 4963 Kutztown Road, Temple, Pennsylvania. But if you just go to the Berks County Patriots Facebook page, you'll find the flyer, information about Bill Bockenberg. He's also the owner of Lehigh County Sporting Clays, one of the premier sporting clay facilities in the entire nation. So, you know what? If you're coming out here to hear Bill speak, maybe you want to come out a little early, or maybe you want to schedule it so you can stay a little late to be able to go out to Lehigh Valley Sporting Clays. I guarantee you, you will have a phenomenal time if you enjoy sporting clays.
I had Bill Bockenberg on. He ran for the chairman for the GOP, and I really felt like he should have been. He would have been the Republicans' best bet, and I still feel that way. I
agree.
He's a good individual. I know that he supported you. I know he supported. He spoke to me several different times, and in a roundabout way, he supported me also in a couple different things with the radio show. So I really appreciate him, and he is a good individual. But anyways, I know you wanted to get that in. Is there anything else you want to conclude with? We got a couple minutes left.
No, the only thing that I mentioned earlier is please do your due diligence. If you have a child, a grandchild, a friend who's on one of these SSRI drugs, or you just want to know more, please take the time just to look at my testimony. You don't have to believe a single word of it. Just spend a little bit of time looking at the data points, because as an attorney, that's what my testimony is filled with, citations to actual evidence that exists, that is supportable in a court of law. You are going to be astonished at what you learn. And again, that's 6 years old. It's gotten even worse since I wrote that testimony. And I just implore any parent to spend more time with their child. Unfortunately, we live in a world where now both parents end up working and not having much time for their children. But we can always find the time if it's something that's important to us. And I would just implore everyone to find that time. go back to that, dinner table discussion. Start having family dinner again if you're not anymore. You'll be amazed at the change in the communication between you and your child, as well as the way in which they carry themselves after that. That's the only thing left that I'd have to say.
Well, you think about them things that we've gone away with. I talked to a fellow yesterday. We had our family reunion at we have our family reunion. Part of the family's from Somerset County, so we always have it up at there's a state park. It's called Laurel Hill State Park, and at one time I remember going to my mother's family's reunion, my father's, and both of my grandparents, and now it's the point where my dad and my uncle were the two patriarchs left of the Marietta family, and we have a family reunion. That's all that's left, because all the rest of them, you can't get people to come to them anymore because they all say they're too busy. But you think about them's the things where our society has left go. I mean, we're too busy. I know, like, my wife tries to have all the kids and the grandkids on Sunday for Sunday dinner, and she does a pretty good job of it. She'll get two Sunday dinners out of them a month, usually the third and fourth one. But in the summertime, or when there's soccer and all these other things, it gets a little bit difficult. But it used to be you went to grandma's right after church on Sunday, and or Saturday, depending on what your faith was. But you think about it, all that's left is society. I mean, we need a lot more Waltons back in our society again, I think.
I completely agree. And let's hope that our message reaches some people that needed to hear it today.
Yeah, and I thank everybody for I really thank you for coming on, because I know that you just went through some stuff yourself personally, and I appreciate you taking time out to be on the radio show with me. But I thought this was kind of important with what happened in Minnesota. I just can't even imagine. My heart goes out to these people that the kids that got that died, and the ones that were and the ones that were wounded and hurt. I mean, that's going to live with them for the rest of their lives. And we need to learn to take care of our children just a little bit better, I think. So, anyways, Josh, I appreciate you calling in. I'll be in touch with you. I can't promise you I'll be there on the 18th, but there's always that possibility. So you take care. Hopefully we can get Bill out this way for something else, maybe, huh?
I look forward to it, John, and thanks as always for having me on.
Yep. Take care. Stay safe, my friend. Okay, we got a couple things I want to finish up with. Actually, one of the things that's kind of an advertisement for myself. We baled hay between. I had hay baled this weekend, and so if anybody's needing round bales, please get a hold of me. They can get a hold of me. They can private message me on my Facebook page or whatever, and we have. I got 100 bales of hay sitting outside right now that they're 400-pound bales. So if anybody wants to private message me, there is a possibility that we can deliver them if you take enough of them, and we'll make that happen. I don't know how the hay situation is going to be, but we were blessed this year, so I'm going to be selling some first cutting hay, and it's all dry right now. Of course, I think we're supposed to get a rain. Maybe Nick will tell you. Maybe sometime tomorrow. I think they're calling for a little bit of rain, but we're gonna get a lot of it under cover before that. The other thing is like I did mention, I was in Connellsville Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday at the Crawford Vendor Show, and I got a tremendous response from people, shaking hands and talking to people and thanking them. A lot of people are wanting to move or was there. I did sell. We did have an abundance of corn too. So I think I sold 65 dozen ears of sweet corn on Saturday. So, and I don't know. We'll see. I might have corn again this weekend. You can message me, and I'll let you know if we're going to or not. Definitely in 2 weeks I'll have corn. I'll have that much corn again if we get just a little bit of rain. So, anyways, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it. Everything everybody's doing for me, and we're going to keep on going ahead on this road called life. You have to take the good with the bad, smile with the sad, love what you got, remember what you had. Always forgive, but never forget. Learn from your mistakes. People change, things go wrong. Just remember the ride goes on. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America.